Hey, Dr. Diamond here. I have a 6-figure business, a 7-figure business, and I help female entrepreneurs do the same while staying connected to their pleasure centers. And in this video, we're going to talk about employees and motivation. So I want to start with talking about some of the research that came out of Mindvalley, which involves how people stay motivated. And one of the things that oftentimes we do is we tend to motivate people with rewards and bonuses. And I'm not saying not to do that. I'm saying it's important to understand when to use different motivational strategies and when they can actually be hurting you and your company. So what this research really showed was that when any sort of task have any sort of creative nature to them, tying a reward through monetary compensation to, say, some sort of task. So for example, if somebody has to do sales calls and they are complicated sales calls and they have to think on their toes all the time, tying rewards to those sales calls oftentimes can limit their success, because what the study found is that when we have to creatively think, if we are really focused on, okay, I have to do this in order to get this reward, I have to do this in order to get the reward, we actually are changing the way our brain processes information. And when that happens, we tend to not be able to think about creative solutions in the same sort of way. And what happens when that happens is we don't actually perform as well. So things that are bonuses and rewards that are related to tasks, tying those things together really works when things are very standardized and it's just about meticulously paying attention to the tiny little details so we don't make mistakes. Tying rewards and bonuses to that works really well. So in business, oftentimes we think about things such as KPIs, which are key performance indicators. And so when you're developing out your metrics to track yourself and track your staff, a common thing to do is to put together key performance indicators for each of your employees. And key performance indicators could be a wide variety of things, from showing up on time, from customer care, from how many positive reviews come in a month, from any sort of internal audits and number of mistakes made. So KPIs can be all across the board and are really important to develop as far as what is most essential for your company. We can use KPIs as a way of tracking employee progress, providing metrics for when people get raises and those sorts of things. But you just want to be very careful about saying, okay, well, if you meet a KPI, you're going to get this, say, bonus check. You want to make sure that if you do that, that KPI, that task at hand that you're talking about, is really not needing a lot of creative skill set, because that could actually backfire on you. So more on KPIs. We'll talk more on KPIs in another video, but that's basically how to think about motivating employees. You want to definitely reward them. You want to look at making sure they are very clear as to what their goals are. So if it's just like, hey, these are the tasks to do, and you don't clearly define the key performance indicators, you don't clearly define for them how you're going to, judge them and basically analyze their results to see if they're on track. If that's not clearly defined, it's not going to be very easy for that employee to stay on track. So another important thing is, another research study showed that most employees feel like they are underappreciated, feel like their employers very rarely appreciate them, and most employers feel like they are over appreciating their employees, feeling like they are giving their employees a lot of feedback. That's really positive. So if you're an employer, whatever you're doing, make sure that you generally go above and beyond and be very, very specific about what you are saying to your employees as far as gratitude and thanking them and feedback. And really want to frame and make sure that when you are working with people, you want to make sure to frame the way you're speaking to them as rewarding them for coming to you when they made a mistake, right? You definitely want to be very, very careful about never penalizing mistakes. Now, I shouldn't say never. We should be careful about not over penalizing mistakes. Obviously, if somebody is making the same mistake over and over and over again, and you talk to them about it and you put in systems to help with it, and they keep making the mistake, that's a clear problem. But you want to basically make sure that you have a very safe space for an employee to come and tell you they made a mistake, because essentially essentially what we want to do is mistakes should be times where employees feel safe to come to you and say, hey, I did this thing, let's try to solve it together. And so if you don't have that sort of open door policy and mistakes are hugely punished, then that's going to lead to a problem. That's going to lead to not fixing the mistake. And that can lead to not only disgruntled employees, but also business that does not work very well. So in motivating employees, think about clear metrics. Think about talking to the metrics about them. Think about how you're going to analyze the metrics, utilizing rewards that are directly tied to the metrics as a way of motivating people only if it's a non-creative thing. And then you can do other things. Like there's other ways to motivate people financially. So for example, you can do corporate bonuses. The company grows and makes more money and the monthly income goes up, they get a bonus check, right? So you can incentivize them that way, but just be very careful about tying the money incentivization to a task that involves a lot of creativeness and thinking on the go and needing to solve things in complicated ways, because we just see that research shows that that really backfires on the effectiveness and the productivity. So we will continue to talk about this topic more on this channel. Again, I'm Dr. Diamond. Please subscribe and I'll see you next time.